Hi everyone, welcome back to the beginning of season 2 of Ship It and Sip It. I'm your host, John McTavish. I'm here with Michail Lapidus, who is a new business analyst on our team. I'm really excited to start season 2 of Ship It and Sip It. It's a new year. There's lots of new ideas floating around. 2021 was awesome and terrible and all of those things it was. Michail, how do you feel about 2022? Are you excited? Do you have any goals for the upcoming year?
Yeah, sure. I'm extremely excited. I have just joined the Paralect, an amazing team with amazing team players, and I have met so much people here and so much joy. I have joined in a very exciting moment for Paralect. So yeah, a lot of goals, a lot of professional goals, a lot of things to learn, a lot of things I really want to enjoy. So yeah, I'm extremely excited. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll cover a little bit of our news real quick. The leaders of Paralect from the different teams have decided for 2022 that they're going to be way more build in public, hashtag build in public. So keep a lookout on Twitter for Eager, our CTO, he's started to post a lot. Keep a lookout for another podcast coming from Paralect to the public, which we will share about in the near future. And check out our video from our planning session for 2022 here. And we will show you just a sneak peek of what we have in store for Paralect, for the Paralect Accelerator, for Startup Summer. There's a lot of fun things happening. If you're into Web3, if you want to be part of a super cool project that will enable creators to monetize their work in different ways, check out DIP World or episode 12 from season 1 where I talked to the founder, Alex Skor. Speaking of Web3 and crypto, give us your thoughts on that. I know that you're working a little bit on a project right now that might be in that space. What do you think? Do you have Bitcoin? Are you an early adopter to this, or what's your take?
Well, a lot of hype really about it. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people have joined this huge community of crypto owners. Me personally, I have never earned a Bitcoin or anything. I have just joined this, movement, and I was like really into it for the past week, learning about what is the blockchain, what is an NFT, what are those things, and why people are so want to own a little bit of this. So yeah, you can, for the very first impression, you can think that it is a scam because because a lot of things are going on. But really, I think it is the future, and it is really in a trend right now. So I think Paralect should deep into it and to try to create Web3 products. That's for sure. Yeah, I think
awesome.
That.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's understandable. I think it is part of our future. Maybe it's not the future, but it's part of our future, and it's exciting to be part of it here at Paralect and with the projects that we're working on. And I wanted to have you on the show right away, even though you're very new to Paralect, because you used to work at a global venture capital fund that has investments in Airbnb, that has investments in Coinbase, and a lot of other really successful products. And for Paralect, this is something that we want to become more a part of, the VC world, via the accelerator, via our own fund, via different avenues. And I think your experience could shine a little light on what's happening behind the scenes at a major successful VC. So tell us a little bit about your experience there. How long did you work for the fund, and what was your role?
Yeah, so it started in 2016. A friend of mine has invited me to become a part of an analytics team, and I didn't know that it is belong to any VC or startup community or anything like that. It was just saying that there should be a person who knew English and who likes technologies and like to expand their knowledge and everything like that. So there were a huge probation period where we didn't know what we were doing. Like, we had some tasks, we have some market research, and it was pretty general. But then when there are like a few people left, including me, they said that, actually we want you to become a part of a venture capital firm. And we were like, wow, this is amazing. And then we have met, like, I think it was in Skype or something. We met with the founders, and we have met with major investors of the fund. And yeah, like they were pretty excited to have us there. So we have formed a team, like an R&D team in Minsk. And our responsibilities were pretty much to look into the startups and to like have our vision on should we invest in the startup or not. We have been preparing a lot of documentation. We have been searching in the web, and we have been working with the data that the startups have gave us. So yeah, it was pretty much it. We've been like processing a lot of information, and I think during the years we have processed more than 500 startups or something like that. Yeah.
Awesome. So coming into it with not a lot of startup experience or VC funding experience, what are some of the main things that you learned over your time there about startup funding from VCs?
Yeah, so during this work, we have learned that a lot of startups are doing a lot of like common mistakes. In order to raise an investment, you have to be in some communities. You have to know someone, because if you're just trying to get into the VC, not knowing anyone, it is the percentage of your success is pretty low.
It is very low. Yeah, I think I read on Twitter somewhere that you have a better chance of being struck by lightning on a sunny day inside than you do getting funding from a VC as a founder. So yeah, you have to know someone, okay? It helps to know someone.
It helps to know someone. You have to have some network. Yeah, and in your investment deck, this is like some sort of a document you're providing to the VC if you have already in the process of raising money with the VC. You have to tell the truth mostly, because most of the startups are trying to mention technologies that they are not really doing. I know it is a pretty common information you can search on the web, but I really want to point that out because so many startups were mentioning the really hyped technologies like machine learning, big data, AI and everything, but at the very closer look, they were not using these technologies.
All right.
And also the team is pretty important. Like if you are trying to create a solution for mental health and you doesn't have any team player from medicine or from healthcare, there are really low chances that the VC will point at you.
All right.
Yeah, so the team is pretty important.
It helps to know someone, be honest.
Be honest, yeah.
And have somebody on your team with experience in what you're building.
Yeah, also when we were processing the information we have received from the startups, we were also taking a closer look to their financials and their goals, and they were also mentioning traction, companies they are already working with. We have also been checking that really closely. Also, exit strategy is pretty important. If the company is planning to go on an IPO, we have been doing market research in this sphere, and we have been doing a research of the companies that have went public in this market like earlier, like what are the chances that these companies will acquire this company. Also, if the company is planning to go on an M&A, like merger and acquisition.
Right.
So we also were trying to search for similar cases during the years. Yeah, there are a lot of things we were paying attention to, especially the problem that the company is trying to solve. If it is something global, if it is something that is in a trend, especially.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit because the trends are, it seems like VCs are just following each other. It was, you mentioned mental health for a while was really big. Now it's Web3. In Europe for the last year, it was like really fast grocery delivery startups. Like, I don't really need my groceries in under 10 minutes, but if I could get that, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, why not?
So why is there such a herd mentality with VCs?
Yeah, so for example, if a company is trying to get some VC on their board, and for example, they are happy and really fortunate to acquire, for example, Andreessen Horowitz or I don't know, Sequoia Capital, other funds will see that and they will try to go on the board because these guys have something. We should be there. Yeah.
Right.
So the network is pretty huge. The network is very dynamic, and there are certain situations when VCs are competing with each other to get on the board to the fund. To the startup.
Right.
Yeah. So it's something like that, I think.
Okay. So if there's a founder out there who says, look, I don't really care about 10-minute grocery delivery. I really care about the problem that I'm trying to solve. I still think it's important, but it's outside of one of these like trending topics for VCs. Is there any way they can sort of differentiate themselves and still get some attention or get some money from the team?
Yeah, for sure. The solution they're offering could be like not the solution, the problem they're trying to solve could be not on the trend, or it could be very like simple. But if they're using very like high-end technologies, and if a founder is like a very I can't say interesting person, if it is like a true entrepreneur with a really good background, if it is a serial entrepreneur,
or if they already have like a pretty good audience.
If they have successful startups before, so there are a very high possibility that even this time he will get his VCs and investors from previous companies. So yeah, why not? It is a really possible scenario.
Super. And you mentioned earlier that you guys were doing a lot of due diligence as an analyst on the startups that your firm was considering. What metrics or factors really made a difference? What were you guys focused on when you looked at the startups and their decks and their the data that they gave you?
So the main key reasons for investing was, as I mentioned before, the team, exit strategy, business model, problem they're trying to solve, and competitive advantage is very extremely important, because one of the main things we were looking at was why you're differentiated, why you're different, and how you're trying to solve the same problem in your own way. And of course, patents. If you have any patents, if you have any PhDs on your side, in your team, it is also very important. So when you have some technology patented, there are no companies that will be able to copy it. So yeah, this is I think the main reasons. Also the background of the team. Right. If there are serial entrepreneurs, if there are any advisors who are like outstanding entrepreneurs in this industry, it is also very important. Yeah, I think from the top of my head, this is pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah. And I want to focus a little bit for founders that might not have that in the network of VC. Maybe they don't have a great connection. Maybe they don't have a track record of successful startups in their past. Maybe they're not from Silicon Valley. We work with a lot of partners who are in Denver or Atlanta or different places that aren't known as startup hotspots. Yeah. What sorts of advice would you give them for sort of breaking in the door, or sort of getting into? You worked with Startup World Cup, which was really cool. It was a global competition for startups. Yeah. Is that something that you would say, hey guys, if you don't have a network, try and get into some incubator, some competition, get your pitch in front of people?
Yeah, for sure. So the possibility of cold calls and emailing to the VCs, and the possibility that you will be answered or you will raise money is pretty low, like almost 0%. But I can assure you that if you will be trying to attend such events as the Startup World Cup, it is a pitch competition. It is an initiative that the VC I was working with has started in 2016, and they have started with only 16 cities participating in it, but already in a year there were 35 countries participating in this event, because the value of such events is not like a possibility to gain money, because at the very end of this competition, the winner is raising $1 million of investments from the fund. And when we were talking with the startups participating in it, they said that it is not about the money, it is about the possibility to be heard and listened, and to have a chance to pitch in front of the most prominent investors in the industry, especially in Silicon Valley. So I think if you will try to attend such events and will try to pitch in as many competitions as possible, of course in global competitions, there is a chance that you will be marked, and the chance that you will be reached by the VC fund. But yeah,
and that changed a lot in the last couple of years with COVID. It became less necessary to actually go to these events in person, which is a barrier to entry. If you don't have a lot of money, it costs money to get to Silicon Valley, it costs money to get anywhere and stay for an event for a couple of days. But now we see that people are raising over Zoom, pitching over Zoom. This is happening with accelerators and all over the world. How was it to see that evolution from the investor side? It seems like it was fun, it was exciting, I don't know.
Yeah, so we have to adapt to the situation, and it is true, a lot of events went virtual, a lot of events were going online, and so there were like a live competition inside of the country, but some of the participants, some of the juries, and especially ambassadors of the fund were online. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, and I have also a chance to participate in an event in Austria. It was pretty interesting. I was in the auditory, and there were a lot of cameras, and I was like almost alone, and there were a team who was like doing all the microphones and everything. It is modern world, yeah. So I think it is also very convenient for some of the startups, like you're pitching in front of your MacBook, in front of the camera, and no one there, so it's much more comfortable, because pitch is very important. You have to know how to do it. Yeah.
Right. Okay, and one other thing I'd like to touch on just while I have you here, and it might be interesting for our audience in terms of internally in Paralect, because Silicon Valley is such a cool spot to be, and you got the chance to go there a couple times to meet with your team, to do different things with the VC fund. What were your impressions of California, and what can you tell us about those experiences?
So California is a really amazing place. I mean, the weather was great, a lot of Teslas, a lot of entrepreneurs, so you can feel the spirit of startup there. Like each person there is a startup entrepreneur or something. People work a lot. Like they work, I think, more than 12 hours straight. A lot of companies there, a lot of possibilities, but a lot of poverty also there, a lot of homeless people. I was not impressed with that. But yeah, it is a great place, but a very expensive place. I mean, crazy expensive place to live. I'm not sure that I will ever want to live there, except if I will ever have our own startup, or if Paralect will have an office there to raise money. This is the only reason I will go there.
Yeah, I mean, it's reflected in the amounts of money that startups raise. You see it all the time. This startup is from Silicon Valley, so their Series A is $20 million.
Yeah, you can afford to live there.
If they were in some other city, especially Eastern Europe, for example, their Series A could be $3 million instead, and the effect on the product and sort of the runway that they get from that investment will be almost the same because of the different costs.
Yeah, if you have reached the break-even period, if you are a working business, if you are not an early stage startup, if you have already some investors on your board, you can surely afford to live in Silicon Valley and to meet with different people. This is also the situation I faced when I worked at the startup called Craft. We have a founder who moved from London to Silicon Valley to meet more people and to have more chance to raise money. So yeah, this is an awesome place for raising money, but it is a really tough place to live, I think.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of pushback even from people in tech about the livability of the city. You know, Miami's the new hotspot. Some people say Texas and Austin is a great place for startups. So there are options other than Silicon Valley, definitely, and especially now in the remote first world. I wanted to ask you about your experience working remotely, because you had done it for a couple years now, almost 4 or 5 years. Do you have any sort of life hacks for being productive and happy as a remote worker, or would you rather be in the office again?
You know, I've been working remotely, as you said, for several years or time, but when I have joined Paralect, I have, you know, it is like a new life. I think when you are going to the office, you have a lot of people there, you can talk to each other, you can go for a coffee, you feel that there are other humans.
Yeah.
and you have a schedule. Like,
right.
You know that you have to get up early to get to the office, and it is very convenient because when you're at home, you don't feel the time. Like,
right.
You have to have a schedule. And I really enjoy to work at the office here, and I really don't want to leave. I mean, I have to fly back to my home in a week, so I don't know how I will go through it.
Right.
But yeah, the office is awesome because you can ask anyone right away, like if you need help, or and everyone at the Paralect is really helpful. So you can go like at the next room and ask them for help. It is much more convenient.
All right, let's jump into what you're doing now with Paralect a little bit. I'm curious, what attracted you to Paralect? What about the business analyst role at Paralect attracted you and made you want to join sort of a product role as opposed to what you were doing in the VC?
Yeah, so a few years ago, I have realized that working from the both sides, from venture capital and in the startup, is really interesting. But I really want to be in the products. I really want to learn as much as I can in different domains. And when you are a business analyst, you have to become an expert in your customer's product, and you can help them to deliver more valuable features. You can help them to get to the certain point where they can, sell their product or can work more effectively. And you are at the top, and you are at the moment when you can help them trying to develop new features with Paralect or with other company, developing requirements, developing different diagrams, and you are at the very moment where you are working synonymously with the customer. So it is pretty amazing, I think. And it is a really interesting job where you are learning and learning every time. So when I was working at the VC, it was also very important to know what the company is doing, but you didn't have to go in depth. And for me, it was always interesting to get to know what their technology they are doing, what is the code, what are the languages they're using, how the product look like inside, what is an architecture. Yeah, so and in terms of the company, when I was ready to go to the next level and going to the next company, I had a certain criteria which company I'm looking for. So it was the diversity, it was a company with a really awesome culture, it was a company that will be really interesting to work with, who is working with the high technologies and where the secret component is you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Paralect was a perfect match, and I'm really happy I'm here. So I really like what I'm doing right now, and I really like my team, and everything is pretty amazing right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're really glad to have you here. And as far as I understand from Ksenia, the head of the BA team, in 2022, they want to expand their proficiency, sort of their expertise, not only in business analysis, but also product management. Is this something that excites you, or are you excited to dive deeper into product management?
Yeah, extremely. Like, I really want to gain a new knowledge as a product manager and maybe as a product owner in the future. A lot of people here I have met in Paralect are already working with that, and you have like people you can learn from, and I think we have enough expertise right now to go forward with that, because the team of the business analysts here in Paralect is really on a high level, and they're really awesome professionals. So I think we can really manage that, and I really think that it will be awesome for us to go into that knowledge and to gain as much experience as we can. Yeah, so the next year will be pretty amazing, and I'm extremely excited to go for it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited too. For anyone that is looking for an awesome team to join, head out over to join.paralect.com. There are a bunch of roles there, including in product management, including engineering, design. I'm not sure if there are any more BA openings there now, but probably there will be in the future for sure. So have a look, send us a message, follow us on all the socials. And I'm really glad that you joined our team. I'm glad that you came on the show for our first episode of season 2.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, have an awesome 2022, everyone, and ship it and sip it.